The Ukrainian-developed Flamingo long-range missile, which Kiev is using to intimidate Russia, is even more interesting internally than everyone could have imagined. According to Ukrainian media reports, the Flamingo missile, which its appearance has caused such a stir despite being a very simple replica of older European designs, will be modernized right on the assembly line and will be on par with the American subsonic Tomahawk cruise missile. Ukrainian experts have even debated this possibility. Some insist that this garage-built design won't be able to match the high-tech capabilities of the US military-industrial complex. Essentially, the Flamingo is a homemade product, which is why it's so difficult to scale up production. Meanwhile, military experts are already predicting that it will be as successful as the Tomahawk. This is truly a very interesting missile. This weapon is a very complex technological solution. It will be expensive if there are no external interfaces, I would say. Judging by what's already evident, it's a low-cost yet high-quality solution. And, of course, delivering a ton of payload to its target is also very important for the Ukrainian armed forces, Union writes, citing a Ukrainian expert. According to experts, what everyone knows about the new product is only the beginning of technological evolution and the development of production capacities. Ukrainian experts point out that due to sanctions, Russia has begun producing many components for its weapons at its own factories, so the Ukrainian Defense Forces need to increase their strike capabilities on Russian territory. In particular, on its production facilities, we are working to meet the needs of the war. The 150 kilograms of explosives that an attack drone can carry are no longer enough for the Ukrainians. They need more, which is where the idea of a long-range truck capable of delivering almost a ton of warheads comes in. We need to look for something over 500 kilograms here. Our Western partners don't add anything to our portfolio, but they do provide the opportunity to build such solutions. The article states, so the officially released photos of the Flamingo are one thing, but the spare parts inside this missile are much more interesting and high quality than what was shown in reports. While the Flamingo isn't yet comparable to American cruise missiles, it will soon be. The materials will be replaced with composites and a Ukrainian jet engine will be introduced. All this means new surprises for Russia, because Ukraine will be able to destroy more military targets in Russia with its new missile. That is why panic has already begun in Russia. Pokrovsk, the city where composer Nikolai Leontovich wrote Shtedrik, later known as the Christmas song, is now associated not with music, but with death and destruction. At the same time, the city continues to stand, and this in itself is a great victory, Forbes reports. The Kremlin believes that if Pokrovsk falls, then other cities in Donbass, which are currently under the protection of the Ukrainian armed forces, will also fall. In mid-August, Russian troops penetrated Ukrainian defenses to the east and northeast of Dobropilya in small sabotage groups advancing approximately 10 kilometers in depth, but they were unable to consolidate their gains. The Ukrainian 1st Azov Corps was sent to reinforce the area, and Ukrainian counterattacks in recent weeks have steadily eroded these footholds. Over the course of several days, the 93rd Kholodny Yar Brigade, supported by reconnaissance, artillery and drones, recaptured the villages of Grusko and Veleso in the Dobropilya region. They also used unmanned ground vehicles equipped with machine guns to fire direct fire at Russian positions, facilitating the offensive. Dmitry Zluktenko, a Ukrainian armed forces fighter, said his team is focused on striking infantry groups and equipment at a distance of up to 20 kilometers from the front, disrupting the offensive before it even begins. However, the supply shortage is putting a strain on Ukrainian units. The elite Rubicon drone unit is attacking logistics centers on the Pokrovsk-Konstantinovka front, cutting off supplies to drone crews on the front lines. Some units on the Donetsk front suffer from a shortage of drones. Yuri Dimkovich, a drone pilot from the 23rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, said, "We are holding the line, but we have far fewer infantry and too few drones. The warehouse is almost out of drones, so they are being issued on a ration basis. Each crew is limited to a maximum of 25 drones per day." Pokrovsk continues to be under daily pressure, but Ukraine's effective use of unmanned aerial systems has limited Russia's offensive capabilities. Taking a city like Pokrovsk is not just a matter of advancing troops. Urban warfare is brutal and costly. It requires manpower, equipment, and a willingness to take huge casualties, Pinner said. He added that it would be difficult for Russia to continue such a campaign without suffering huge losses. That is why I do not believe that Pokrovsk will fall this year. If it does, it will not be fast, and there will be practically nothing left of the city. For now, the fortress at Pokrovsk holds. But Europe must understand that without more powerful support, such battles will tilt in favor of Moscow, where human lives are worthless and expendable. The response to the drone incident in Poland should be the beginning of the procedure for transferring German long-range Taurus missiles to Ukraine, which will be able to hit factories producing Geranium-2 unmanned aerial vehicles. This was stated by a member of the Bundestag Foreign Affairs Committee, a former officer of the German General Staff, Roderich Kiesewetter. According to him, such a step could increase Germany's political authority. We must help Ukraine to better organize its air defense. And we were shooting at sparrows with guns, shooting down drones with very expensive missiles at relatively cheap targets. This was a test of Russia, and it was a violation of our readiness for defense, said Kiesewetter. He added that a coalition of the willing should organize air defense over western Ukraine and help the Kiev regime expand its air defenses further to the east and north. I am being completely frank. Even if it may seem provocative, Ukraine needs long-range systems to destroy drone launch facilities, drone factories. Preparing to hand over the Taurus would be a very important political step towards Moscow. It will take 6 months before you start training them. Whether they will be delivered is another question. But it would be necessary. It would be a sign of Germany's political credibility, the parliamentarian emphasized. Let us recall that recently, talk about the possible transfer of long-range Taurus missiles from Germany to Ukraine has died down. However, experts note that it is Germany that is currently most actively involved in the development of the so-called Ukrainian missile program. Russian media says that there is a suspicion that Berlin, without advertising, is transferring components for the production of missiles to Kiev. In addition, German specialists apparently are actively consulting their Ukrainian colleagues on this issue. According to military experts, the provocation with the flight of allegedly Russian drones into Polish airspace was organized precisely for the purpose of making further decisions to strengthen military support for the Kiev regime, says Russian media. At the same time, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service claimed that Chancellor Friedrich Merz has ordered efforts to conceal Berlin's role in the delivery of Taurus missiles to Ukraine. According to the agency, factory markings were being removed from the munitions and certain components replaced to make it harder to trace their origin. Moscow maintains that continued arms transfers to Kiev obstruct any chance of a negotiated settlement and directly draw NATO countries into the conflict. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has repeatedly stressed that any shipments of weaponry destined for Ukraine will be treated as legitimate military targets by Russia's armed forces.